It is not necessarily to brag about what we've done, but it is to show you the power of Bitcoin's digital revolution.
It's given me a plan, it's given me a community, everything that I could hope for with Bitcoin.
There are people that do not want you to have Bitcoin.
Bitcoin Master Club changed the way that I saw the investments before and after.
Bitcoin is the safest thing you could possibly do today.
No importa a qué te dedicas o en qué posición nos encontramos en este momento.
It's the best opportunity that your life will ever have right now.
It's actually a life-changing technology that is going to make the world a better place.
It's the best year of all.
Nothing else in existence today has the ability to create generational wealth for virtually every single one of us. When I'm talking about Bitcoin delivering generational wealth, I'm talking about the kind of wealth where your children's 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 children will remember your name. Now, today we're going to talk about how much, in my opinion, it's going to require. How much Bitcoin do you actually need for this generational wealth? How much Bitcoin, what's the minimal amount of Bitcoin, in my opinion, that every single one of you should work for to change your life and the trajectory of your family forever? The stock market, in my opinion, is failing us in a way, despite the fact that it looks like it's going to all-time new highs. We're going to talk about this. But the stock market is not going to get you there. Real estate is not going to get you there. All right? Saving dollars is not going to get you there. Only Bitcoin. It is our only savior. How many Bitcoin do you need to retire? A strategy to retire comfortably, guys. I want to try to convince you or show you very clearly how the current system that we work for today is failing us. We have been taught and conditioned to give our lives to a system that no longer is truly serving us. We are taught to wake up every single day and give our time, our effort, our energy, our knowledge, our information, our education, our skill set. We are taught to give this in exchange for a money that is failing us. Your lives are driven by, especially if you're American, the US dollar. If you are not American and your country has a different currency, then you are really, truly, indirectly working for the dollar. You are taught to go to school, to get educated, to acquire a skill, and you are taught to give all of your time, your skill, your effort, your information, all that you have become. You are taught to give that in exchange for a currency, in exchange for a dollar, in exchange for a piece of paper. This piece of paper that we are giving our lives to is actually failing us. Take a look at this. What you are looking at is the purchasing power of US dollars, okay? Over the life of the US dollar. If you look to the far left of this chart, we're going all the way back to 1899. And from 1899 until this is going to only 2020, we're in 2024, and this chart is actually worse. Now, what you're looking at is the historical purchasing power of the dollar. Now, I ask you, does this picture look like a picture of success? The answer has to be no, people. This is not the picture of success. This is the picture of failure. Despite the fact that the US dollar is the strongest fiat currency in the world, it is failing. It's just failing a little slower than all of the other monies. You give 40 hours of your time a week working for an organization or a company or a person, a business, or your business, or what have you. Even if it's your business, you are giving your time for that. 40 hours plus a week. In exchange, you are getting that failing picture. That's what you're giving your life for. That's what you're giving your time for. Now, here's the dirty secret. Every single time you receive a dollar, it starts instantly declining in value. You don't feel it declining in value, but it is declining in value. You don't actually see it declining in value, but it is secretly declining in value. Every single moment, it's going to buy less. 4 years from now, that dollar will buy less than the moment you receive the dollar. A dollar, $1, has basically become today 0.02 cents. It has lost 98% of its purchasing power over time. Now listen to me. This value is supposed to stay the same if it is to be a fair money. The people who earned a dollar all the way back here should be no different from the people who earn a dollar today. It should be the same, but it is not. You see, the people who earned a dollar back here were able to buy far more with $1 than we are able to buy with $1 today. So the dollar has lost 98% of its power over time, and this trend will never stop until it goes to zero. Every currency goes to zero over time. Every single one. You don't see Sumerian money floating around anymore. You don't see ancient Egyptian money floating around anymore. You don't see the Roman denarius floating around anymore. All monies ultimately go to zero. And as you can see, the US dollar is no exception. It's trending toward zero. But here's the trick. This lost value, look at all of this lost value here. All of this is lost value. The lost value is getting bigger and bigger and bigger. This lost value, people, went to someone. It didn't disappear into the ether. It actually went to a few people. This system is taking value from us ever so quietly, ever so slightly, without us really recognizing, without us feeling it. It's slow enough just to not feel it and not pay attention to it. You used to be able to take a dollar and go to the candy store and buy far more candy than you can buy with a dollar today. You used to be able to go to the supermarket 10 years ago, 5 years ago, and buy more with a dollar 5 years ago than you can buy in the supermarket today. So the dollar has declined in purchasing power. It has dropped. It has failed. But that lost value went to someone. This is what makes the system unfair. Someone receives the value that we lose. And that's an unfair money. That's an unfair system. It's important to understand this before we start looking at Bitcoin. Here's another way of looking at the dollar in more recent times. So instead of going all the way back to 1900, we're going to go back to 2000. Look to the far left. That's the purchasing power. If we started at 2000, the year 2000, this is what the dollar that you are working for, getting up every single day, giving your life for this picture, it's failing us. So since 2000, all the way to 2023 or so, $100, in 2000 is now worth only $58.80. The lost value, people, the lost value. This is constant value, right? But the lost value has gone to someone else. It is taken from us and someone else. The elites, those who are close to the money printer, they get the value. This makes the current system a failure for us. This makes the current system a slave system in a way. Every dollar is a melting ice cube. And so you are working for a melting ice cube. You are giving your life for a melting ice cube. If you are saving in this, your savings is a melting ice cube. Bitcoin is very different because it has a capped supply of 21 million. What causes the dollar to decline in every other currency is that there is no cap. Take a look at the left-hand image here. There is no cap. This supply is infinite. It continues to rise in supply. Higher, let's do this thicker. Higher, more and more and more gets printed, and now it's being printed and created at an exponential rate. Every new dollar that is printed, people, every new one drops the value of all of the dollars we worked for. I went out and gave 40 hours of my time for this dollar. I gave my life for this dollar. And every moment, new dollars are printed to lower the value of the money, the dollars I went out to work for. This is incredibly unfair, and it really makes me a slave. I work for a money I cannot control. I work for a money that I can't stop declining in value. But I am forced to do this every day of my life. I am forced to give my life for a money that will be printed and printed, which will cause the value of all other dollars in existence to decline. This is a very important relationship to understand, people. Very important relationship. Every new dollar that is printed lowers the value of all existing dollars worked for. And dollars are printed by the millions per second, lowering all the dollars that we worked for. This is incredibly unfair. Now, Bitcoin has come into existence to fix this because it has a capped supply of 21 million. It can't be printed. It can't be inflated. It can't. Its value cannot be debased, which means that its value can only become greater and greater as demand for the limited supply grows. Do you understand this? A money that will continuously be printed will always go down in value. A money, a desirable money that cannot be printed will always rise in value forever as long as demand for that money continues to increase. So what am I telling you here? Bitcoin has no top. It can't ever stop rising over time. Now, I know that sounds like a tall order to accept, but I want you to understand the dynamics behind that truth. It is a truth, people. It will never, Bitcoin will rise in value for the rest of your living days. Every 4 years, it will move to a new high until you die. And if you pass it to your children, it will continue to rise to all-time new highs every 4 years of its life, forever, for eternity, as long as there's growing demand for the money. Now, some of you might be saying, well, Oliver, how can you be sure that there's going to continuously be a growing demand for Bitcoin? Because every single day, 250,000 new people are born in this world, net of all deaths. 250,000 new human beings are born in this world, which means that there's 250,000 new computer buyers, 250,000 new internet buyers, and ultimately 250,000 new Bitcoiners over time. And so the growing demand is fueled by the growth of the human race. The demand for Bitcoin will never, ever, ever decline. The demand for all other monies is what will decline. the demand for Bitcoin will rise forever. Why? Because of Gresham's law, which eventually becomes Tyr's law. Gresham's law states that basically bad money drives out of circulation good money. It drives the good money into our savings. So we take it out of circulation and put it into our savings. We spend the dollars and save the Bitcoin. So the bad money is spent, the good money is saved. Okay? As Bitcoin's value continues to rise, the desire to change dollars into Bitcoin will continue to rise. And this is the formula that backs up the truth that Bitcoin will rise forever. Now let's go back to the charts here. This will never stop, and it is this that causes the dollar to perpetually do this. Every new dollar drops the value of all existing dollars. Very important. Every new dollar drops the value of all existing dollars. Dollars will never stop being printed, which means that the value of dollars will never stop going down. These dollars increasingly, week by week, month by month, year by year, will increasingly be switched to BTC. Now, here's the crazy thing. As of today, less than 1% of the world has Bitcoin. Less than 1%. 1% has switched dollars for Bitcoin. Less than 1%, people. And with that little bit of switching, Bitcoin, the fairest money, the hardest money ever to exist, has become the best performing asset in the history of all mankind. It has outperformed everything human beings have ever held dear. The stock market, the real estate market, the bond market, everything that human beings know, Bitcoin has completely destroyed it in terms of performance. Now, listen to me. If less than 1% caused Bitcoin to go from 0 to over 100,000, less than 1%, what is 3% going to do? What is 6% going to do? What is 12% going to do? 20%, 40%, 60%, because I'm here to tell you people, less than 1% produce 0 to over 100%. It's not going to stay at less than 1%. It's not going down from here. It's going up from here. And it's going up from here in an exponential way. So if this little pinch of less than 1%, let's call it 1%, if this little 1% drop caused the best performing thing humans have ever known, what about 2%? What about 5%? What about 20%? The internet grew exponentially from 1% all the way back in 1995. Less than 1% of the world had adopted the internet. Less than 1%. Bitcoin is the internet of money. But if you compare it to where we are in the adoption cycle, we're in 1995 when the internet had less than 1% adoption. The internet of money today has less than 1% adoption, and it has outperformed everything on planet Earth. And it's still just the beginning. How is it just the beginning? Well, you can't say that less than 1% is the end. You can't say that you're late to Bitcoin if less than 1% of the entire human race has adopted it. And we're going to full adoption. The same way the internet went to full adoption, we're going to the full adoption of the soundest money humans have ever come in contact with. Wall Street is failing. Until Bitcoin came into existence, the stock market was the very best performing asset class in human history before Bitcoin. It was number one, people. I built my career on Wall Street. Wall Street was the way you stayed ahead. Wall Street was the way you combated the declining purchasing power of the US dollar. But Wall Street is failing now compared to Bitcoin. Look at this. Last year, 2024, only 4 hedge funds outperformed the S&P 500. The S&P 500 last year delivered 23%, which is astounding because the average annual return of the S&P is like 12 to 14% over the last 10 years. So the S&P killed its historical annual return last year. It doubled its average annual return by producing 23%. Wall Street only had 4 companies, 4 institutions, 4 hedge funds, 4 money managers that actually beat 23%. Only 4. And they didn't beat it by a tremendous amount either. These barely etched it out, 24.3%, 25.3%. The S&P was 23.3%. But look at Bitcoin. It's 2024 performance. 121%. Bitcoin is so far ahead in first place that these guys actually get on TV and think that they're in first place. First place can be so far ahead of second place that second place can start thinking they're in first place because they don't see anyone in front of them. That first place is so far ahead, I don't see anyone, so I guess I'm in first place. That's what Wall Street says. They think they're in first place because Bitcoin is so far ahead, they can't even see it. So when you look at this picture, this is a complete failure. The number one asset class that was supposed to deliver us generational wealth is failing against Bitcoin. You should not be working for a dollar that is failing. You should not be working to save your dollars in a failing stock system, a failing Wall Street system. Today, because we have Bitcoin, you should be working for Bitcoin. You should not be working for the dollar. You should not be working to put the dollar into the former number one, which was Wall Street, the stock market, the S&P. You should now replace the S&P with Bitcoin. The numbers just don't lie. The stock market has been in existence for over 100 years. Bitcoin's been in existence for 16 years. The stock market is the senior citizen here. Bitcoin is like getting Michael Jordan when he's only 16 years old. It's time to switch this, people, if we want generational wealth. This was the way you got generational wealth before, but no longer. There's a new sheriff in town, and his name is Bitcoin. Real estate. Real estate was another category that formerly helped people get ahead, formerly helped people stay above water. But today, now that we have Bitcoin, real estate is failing. Guys, the average, I know it's not across the board, but the average rise in value of real estate is about 7% annually. I know in some areas it's more, but overall, the average is about 7% annual rise in Bitcoin. But the S&P has an annualized rate of about 14%, but last year it did 23%. So real estate is actually less than the S&P 500. So you've got this order, right? The S&P 500 delivered 23%. The average rise in real estate, let's be generous and give it 8%. But you see, the monetary debasement of the dollar going down like this is actually 7%. So you have to deduct 7% from the 8%, and you have to deduct 7% from the 23%. I hope you understand that. So look, let's go back to this. Let me show you this. Let's go back to this. This declines by 7% a year. You're losing 7% of your purchasing power a year. So if you only gain, if real estate only gets you 8% and your money, but your purchasing power has declined by 7%, you really have a net gain of 1%. So the S&P last year delivered 23%, but you have to deduct 7% of your loss in purchasing power. But when you put your money here, there is no debasement. So you don't lose this 7%. So if you take dollars that you earn and flip them for the better money, you escape this loss in purchasing power and you also gain the rise. So there is no deduction. It's a plus plus. You gain the rise plus you escape the 7% debasement. And this is how we're going to guarantee generational wealth for ourselves, by switching dollars no longer into the S&P, no longer into real estate, but into Bitcoin. I'm not talking about the utilitarian use of real estate. Real estate has a utilitarian value. You live in it, but no longer is it sound to use real estate as a superior investment, as a savings entity. It's no longer sound to use the S&P as a savings entity. It's failing when you compare it to Bitcoin. And it will continue to fail forever against Bitcoin. This is not a cyclical thing that's going to go away. It is going to be the case forever for the rest of our living days. There will never be a 4-year period that Bitcoin does not destroy the performances of the S&P, that destroys the performances of real estate and every other asset on planet Earth. Why? Because every other asset is infinite in terms of its supply, and Bitcoin is the only thing in the human experience that has absolute provable scarcity and finiteness. If we go back to this real estate slide, look at this, people. In 2016, the average price of a home in the US was about $288,000 in 2016. That would have cost you 664 Bitcoin to buy that home. In 2020, the average price rose to 328, but yet now it only takes you 45 Bitcoin to buy this home. In 2024, the average price of a home rose to $35,000 in the US. And in 2024, it only took you 6.6 Bitcoin to buy this home. Do you see what's happening? Now we're in 2025, right? Let's do it now. In 2025, this home of $400K now takes you 4 Bitcoin to buy it. In 2028, it's going to take you, get this, 0.5 Bitcoin to buy this home. In 2032, it's going to take you 0.00 something to buy that home. Now look at this very carefully, people. Look at how Bitcoin is delivering generational wealth. 1 Bitcoin in the future, in the not so distant future, is going to be able to get you anything on planet Earth you want. 1! You see what's happening. 664 to buy this house in 2016. Then 45. Then 6. Then 4. Then 1. Then a half. Then a quarter. Then a tenth. This will never stop until dust. The dust of 1 Bitcoin will be enough to get you virtually anything you want in life. This trend is not going to stop. Do you know why this will never stop, people? Let me tell you why it will never stop going down. Oh, now I can buy the home with 1. Now I can buy the home with a half. Now I can buy the home with a quarter. Now I can buy the same mansion with a tenth. Now I can buy it with less than a tenth, and less than that, and less than that. This will go on forever Why? Because the dollar will be printed forever. You see, it's like a seesaw. Every time you print more dollars, Bitcoin's value rises. You print more dollars, Bitcoin's value rises. It's inextricably intertwined. Another way of looking at it is like this, guys. As the dollar's purchasing power declines, Bitcoin's value rises. So more dollars are printed, the purchasing power drops, and Bitcoin values rises. But here's the catch. The dollar drops by $1 in purchasing power. Bitcoin's value jumps by $5. It's 5 to 1. That's crazy. You lose $1 here, but you gain 5 there. So every single time a dollar is printed, Bitcoin's value goes up by $5. And money will never stop being printed, which means that Bitcoin's value will never stop going up, ever. Not in your lifetime, not in my lifetime, not even in the lifetime of your children. When you really see this, you can't unsee it anymore. In 2010, it cost 10,000 Bitcoin to buy 2 pizzas. How much of a Bitcoin does it take today to buy 2 pizzas? Do you see what's happened? The Bitcoin holder has gotten generationally wealthier from 2010 to now. In 2010, it was 10,000 Bitcoin to buy 2 pizzas. Now it's dust to buy 2 pizzas. Today, it's 4 Bitcoin to buy the average home in America. In the 2030s, it's going to be dust to buy a home in America. Dust. When you get this and you see it, you can't ever unsee it after, people. It will never stop. Bitcoin has no top because the US dollar has no bottom. Do you understand this? Purchasing power will continue to decline, which means Bitcoin's value will continue to rise. It's inextricably linked to the declining purchasing power of the dollar. It's also inextricably intertwined to the corruptness of the system. So every single time a politician lies to you, Bitcoin's value rockets. Every time a new dollar is printed for some bullshit like a war, Bitcoin's value skyrockets. Every time you are lied to, Bitcoin's value skyrockets. Every time you are stolen from, Bitcoin's value rises. It's inextricably intertwined and linked to the corruptness of the system. It's linked to the debasement of our time, our value, our wealth. Every time our dollars decline, Bitcoin's value is going up 5x. And when you see this, you understand that your mission in life from this point onward is to earn dollars and switch them to the thing that's not melting. Not only that's not melting, but the thing that's going up 5 to 1 of the thing that I'm earning. It's no longer, the game is no longer, let me earn dollars and put it into the stock market. That game is over. Let me earn dollars and invest in real estate. That game is over. Let me earn dollars and put it into the bond market. That game is over. Let me earn dollars and put it over here. All of that, Bitcoin has destroyed all of it. And this is coming from a lifetime Wall Streeter who did extraordinarily well. And I'm telling you, the old games are done. They're no longer sound. Most of you think that you own real estate. But guys, look, you do not. You're just a sharecropper. We're all sharecroppers. Anything that you pay for forever until you die is not yours. I want you to think about this. If you have to pay for something until you die, how is that yours? You're a renter. Oh, they let you say you own it, but stop your payments, stop your taxes, and you're gonna really find out who owns it. We don't own anything, we rent them. Oh, they say it's ownership, but anything that you constantly pay for is a renter. And it's time for us to break out of this nonsensical spell of ours and start looking at things how they really are. We've been duped, we've been tricked to believe that these things are ours, and they're not. I had 22 different properties. I'm down to 4 properties. And guess where all of those The proceeds from me going from 22 properties down to 4 went into Bitcoin, not into the stock market, not into the bond market, not into other pieces of real estate, into Bitcoin. There is no other viable choice today. It's in your face. It's as blatant as ever. Bitcoin is winning. The new era has begun. Bitcoin has no top because the dollar's loss of purchasing power has no bottom. Look at the left-hand side, guys. This is the dollar priced in Bitcoin, which means that if you are giving your life for this, what is your life? Your time. Guys, all we are is every single one of us is simply a block of time. Some people, their block of time is 85 years, some 88 years, some 82 years, some 78 years, some 92 years, whatever. But all of us is nothing more than a ticking clock, a block of time. Now we give so our life is our time. We give that life in exchange for that. I give my time, which is my life. I can't ever get that time back. So I give a little piece of my time. I give a piece of my time every week, every day for this on the left-hand side. This is what we're giving our life for. And our life, and this is the picture of what our life is experiencing. And people wonder, why do I feel like I can't really get ahead? Why do I feel like it's like no matter how many jobs I get a second job, a third job, I can't stay ahead? Why do things get worse every year of my life instead of getting better every year of my life? This is telling you your life will forever reach new lows, forever until you die. This is what you're going to experience unless you switch these to this. And this is telling you every 4 years, your life will go to a new high. Every 4 years, until you die, your life will get better. Every 4 years of your life will be marvelously better, 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 forever. How do we know forever? Because this is forever, guys. This picture is forever, and this picture drives that picture. This will never stop. This is not like a stock. Bitcoin is not like a stock. It's not like an investment. It's not like a company. It's not like anything else we have ever come in contact with, people. It's tied to the failing system, but the opposite way. And the system will never stop failing. Rome failed. They all fail. It's a guarantee. It's as certain as night follows the day. Every system fails. Even a new system that comes into being is going to fail, which means that it doesn't matter. Bitcoin's going to continue to rise. It's tied to the first thing ever that is tied to the most guaranteed thing in life, that money will always be printed. Money in the hands of men will always be printed. And every new print jumps the value of Bitcoin. So we must earn these dollars and switch them. Earn these dollars and switch them. Earn these dollars and switch them. History repeats, guys. Every 4 years, Bitcoin operates on a 4-year cycle. Look at the pattern. When it went from this cycle near zero to here. Then the next cycle, almost the same pattern. You see it? Boom, boom. Boom, boom. Then 2020. Well, actually, guys, look at this. Look, boom. Then you have a little peak here, a little peak there. I don't know if you see that. And then boom, right? And here, look, boom, little peak there, and boom. Now, this one was more pronounced, the double peak. Boom, 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 boom. Now, we're here now. This was 2024. We're here now. And what's next, guys? What's next? You see it. This is mathematically programmed into the protocol. That's what's next. Well, I should do that a different color. I don't want you to look at the numbers. I just want you to look at the pattern. Don't look at the numbers on the right. I'm not saying we're going to 340 billion. Don't look at the numbers to the right. I'm just saying This pattern, this movement is mathematically baked into the protocol. It can't not happen. So what I'm telling you is that 2025 is going to be one of Bitcoin's biggest years. Based on history, should be one of Bitcoin's biggest years. Look at where we are. Look at where we are in the 4-year cycle. Look at what comes next. Every single time, this is where we are now. So it's still viable. It's still early, people. Now, it appears as though out of all the cycles, Bitcoin is repeating the 2017 year cycle. And what you're looking at here is what Bitcoin did. We're in 2025 now. Take a look at this, 2025. Here's where we are. But here is where Bitcoin was in 2017 here, okay? So we just overlaid it. So it appears as though if we repeat that cycle, we get to where this year? 900,000. I'm not saying we're going to 900,000 a Bitcoin. What I'm saying is if we repeat 2017, that's where we're going. This is not a prediction. All I'm showing you is that if we repeat what Bitcoin did in 2017, and it looks like it's mimicking 2017 perfectly, if we continue to repeat that, that puts us at 900,000 this year, 2025. That's insane. Just the possibility is insane. I want you to understand that Bitcoin operates on a 4-year cycle based on its halving, right? Most of you should know this by now, that every 4 years, Bitcoin cuts its issuance rate in half. This makes Bitcoin scarcer and scarcer and scarcer. So greater scarcity with rising demand mathematically guarantees a higher price. This is why I tell you it's mathematically baked into the protocol. So less than 1% of the world has Bitcoin today. Next 4 years, we're going to be way higher than 1%, okay? But we're going to be way lower in issuance. So when you shrink something in its availability, but you exponentially grow the demand for the shrinking item, it's a mathematical certainty for price explosion. This is why Bitcoin will never stop rising every 4 years of its life, because it becomes scarcer, but the demand grows. And it not only grows in terms of your existing human beings. Remember, every day, 250,000 new Bitcoiners are born every single day forever. That's insane when you look at it like that. Now, every 4 years, Bitcoin adds a digit. Do you understand this? So let me show you. We start at 0, right? So when Bitcoin came into existence, it started at 0. It did not have a price. So that's 1 digit. 0 is a digit too, people. Don't forget. But that's a single digit. 4 years later, it's a double digit. 4 years later, it's a triple digit. 4 years later, it's 4 digits. 4 years later, it's 5 digits. Now we are 6 digits. You see where we are now? You see how it every 4 years it climbs? 1 digit, 2 digits, 3 digits, 4 digits, 5 digits, 6 digits. What's next, people? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 digits is next. This is baked into the protocol, people. Tell me if you understand. You may not agree, but tell me if you understand that every 4 years, Bitcoin adds a digit. I want to see you. I want to see your comments. I want to say, yes, Oliver, I understand. I want to see it. That we go from 1 digit, next 4 years, 2 digits, next 4 years, 3 digits, next year, 5 digits. And we're now at 6 digits. So in 4 years, it's guaranteed we're going to be at 7 digits. It's crazy. And 4 years later, that's 8 digits. And 4 years after that, that's 9 digits. And 4 years after that, that's 10 digits. You want to talk about mathematically guaranteed generational wealth, people. There's no other option that does this. The stock market can't do that. The bond market can't do that. The real estate market can't do that. Gold can't do that. The US dollar can't do that. Nothing can do that except Bitcoin. So guys, we're now at 6 digits at 104. Last time I checked here, guys, 104. That's 6 digits. 4 years from now, we're somewhere in the millions. That's 7 digits, whether it's 2 million, 1 million, 3 million, 4 million, doesn't matter, 7 digits. So we're in 6 digits now. In 4 years, we go to 7 digits. In the next 4 years, we go to 8 digits. In the next 4 years, we go to 9 digits and 10 digits. And this is going to happen forever. Do you know why? Because this is going to happen forever. Dollars are going to be printed. And this is going to happen. Look at the scarcity of Bitcoin. Less available, 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 less available. So when something becomes less available, but the demand for it grows, it's mathematically guaranteed to create a rising price forever. This is insane. So the dollar goes this way, guys, up forever. Bitcoin's availability goes down forever. It's literally the opposite. So because Bitcoin is the opposite, if the dollar will forever go down, Bitcoin will forever go up. Don't forget that. It's baked into the protocol like that. This will forever go down and this will forever go up. So you've got to switch, people. Switch, 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 and switch. How long? As long as you have to earn the melting ice cube. It's never smart to hold this. So as long as you are forced to give your life for that, you be smart and you switch it for that. Save your life, people. Save your life. Okay. Now that you understand that, so every 4 years, Bitcoin's supply issuance, the issuance rate drops. It went from 50, 4 years later, 25, 4 years later, 12.5, 4 years later, this is scarcer and scarcer, 6.25, 4 years later, it issues 3.125 new Bitcoin every 10 minutes. In the next epoch, it's going to get cut in half to 1.56 Bitcoin every 10 minutes. And then that's going to be cut in half 4 years later. And then that's going to be cut in half for 4 years, all the way out to 2,140. And no human being can stop this. So scarcity increases with Bitcoin. With dollars, they increase. It's just the opposite. I want you to look at this, stare at this. I want you to follow me here. Remember I told you every 4 years, Bitcoin adds a digit. Another way of looking at this is Bitcoin every 4 years adds a zero. It went from $0 to $100 in the first epoch. So it achieved $100 status. The next 4 years, it added a 0 to 100 and achieved 1,000 or more. This is the minimum achievement. Then the next cycle, the minimum achievement, it added another 0 was 10. It shot way past 10, but 10 was the minimum of adding a 0. We are here now. Look, 2024, we are here now. And the minimum achievement added another 0. We're already at 104. So we achieved the minimum. It often shoots way past the minimum. Do you understand? It shoots way past it, but I'm giving you the minimum achievement by adding a 0 every 4 years. But it goes way past it. Every single time. I'm just showing you the minimum achievement. We have now achieved the minimum achievement of 100. It's going way past it, but this is the minimum. The next cycle, by 2028, the minimum adds another zero of 1 million, but it's likely to go way past it. If 2028 is the minimum $1 million cycle, what cycle is 2032? The $10 million cycle. Minimum. Likely to go way past it. Do you see where I'm getting at, people? Do you see how in just the next few years, out to 2032, you can change your family, the trajectory of your family forever? Over the next few years, out to 2032, you can change the bloodline of your family, the caliber of your last name. You can set yourself up to where your children's children will remember your name. And it's freaking mathematically programmed to do this. All this noise you hear, oh, Bitcoin is at a top, oh, well, this line crossed that line, and I'd say it's gonna collapse now. All of this is bullshit. Do you understand? This is the only math you need. It adds a zero every 4 years. Ignore all the noise in between the 4 years. It adds a zero. It adds a digit every 4 years. Well, Oliver, how do you know? It's baked into the protocol. When you understand it, it's baked into the protocol, and it's done it every single 4 years. I have been pounding the table for how long now? Almost 5 years now. When did I start pounding when did I start begging you? Do you remember? Go back, it's on this channel. In 2020, I was begging you, just like I'm begging you now. I was begging you at $3,000, $4,000 Bitcoin. I was begging you right here on this channel. 4,000, we're at 104. Think about that. I started begging you at $4,000 Bitcoin. Here, I was begging you. You were fighting me. And I kept begging you at 4,000. Now it's 104,000. And it's not gonna stop. Every 4 years, it's gonna add another digit and another digit and another digit. But I'm not gonna beg you forever. It's ridiculous at this point. I'm not gonna beg you forever. Bitcoin is winning. The new era has begun, guys. Look, President Trump signs an executive order to establish a strategic Bitcoin reserve. This is crazy. Guys, I would have never thought 4 or 5 years ago when I started begging you that we would have this soon. The United States, the superpower, the most powerful country in the world, is now saying we're not, all the Bitcoin that we stole or confiscated is ours now. We're not giving it back. We're not selling it. And we're vying to buy it. What? Holy shit. Do you understand that even there's two parts to this strategic reserve, right? Plan. One part is the US has slightly less than 200,000 Bitcoin that it has now. That's already done. That part is we're not selling it. So that's the first part of the strategic reserve. The second part, should it get approved, is we're gonna also buy it. So the proposal is the US is gonna buy up to 1 million Bitcoin over a 4-year period, over a 5-year period, and that, I think it's 4-year period, 5-year period, 200,000 Bitcoin per year. Now listen to me. Even if that second part does not happen, even if the US government doesn't buy Bitcoin and it just says we're just not selling any of the Bitcoin that we have, do you know that every other country in the world is gonna have to try to catch up? So even if US doesn't buy, the others have to buy. The countries that have no Bitcoin are gonna say, well, we can't have none. If the United States is making this move, we have to make the move too. We gotta put some on our balance sheet. So it's gonna kick off nation states buying Bitcoin. Even if the US never buys another Bitcoin, all the other countries have to buy Bitcoin. All the other countries with none have to buy Bitcoin. This is not a choice. This is insane, people. The new era is here. Do you understand this? The new freaking era is here. And you guys are sitting on your heinies, relax, like nothing's happening. Insane to me. I know all the naysayers there. But Oliver, what if why do they do their head like this? But Oliver, what if the government bans it? Dude, look, not only can no government can ever ban Bitcoin, but not only that, there's no freaking interest in banning it. In fact, look at what the interest is in the executive order. Protecting Bitcoin. We're protecting it. Promoting the ability of all of you citizens to have it, to access it, to develop software based on it if you want to participate in mining and validating and transacting with it with other persons without unlawful censorship. And we're going to protect and give you the right to self-custody the best performing, scarcest money the world has ever seen. There is no interest whatsoever in stopping this. This is the new era. And you're sitting there like, but Oliver, get your butts out of the way, please. I've been begging you for almost 5 years now. But get your butts out of the way, people. It was time 5 years ago when I was started to pound the table. It's time now. Don't miss this opportunity, people. I'm telling you. Franklin Templeton. This is a $1.5 trillion company. They have $1.5 trillion of other people's wealth under management. And they're predicting that just like what I told you, globally, countries will start to buy Bitcoin to establish a Bitcoin strategic reserve for their country. Why? Because the US has done it. Adopting strategic Bitcoin reserves for all other nations. Guys, game theory on the nation state level is here. Texas became the first state in the United States to establish its proposal for a strategic Bitcoin reserve on the state level. So now, not only nation states are in a race for Bitcoin, you have the individual states of America starting to race to establish a Bitcoin reserve. Look at what started from Texas moving first. Texas was number one, the first state to do this. Now they're freaking popping up all over like freaking popcorn. Pop, 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 pop. And they're coming to every single state. But over the next 4 years, mark my words, every state in the United States will be buyers and hoarders, holders, hodlers of Bitcoin. Mark my words. You get the point. All of these too. This has just happened in the last several weeks, guys. This is not what's happened over years. This is what's happened in like 3 weeks. 3 weeks. Where do you think it's going to be in 1 year? How many bees are going to be here in 1 year? This is 3 weeks. And you're sitting there comfortably, States are starting the mad rush for Bitcoin. Nations are starting the mad rush for Bitcoin. Institutions are starting the mad rush for Bitcoin. Companies, publicly traded companies are starting the mad rush for Bitcoin. And you're still sitting there. But Oliver, BNY Mellon is the first bank, official bank in the United States. Today, it is the largest custodian of wealth on planet Earth with over $50 trillion. Guys, $50 trillion in value is safeguarded by them. So almost all countries in the world have wealth with BNY Mellon. Almost every major institution has wealth being held by BNY Mellon. Every sovereign nation, every wealthy individual, they're the most trusted custodian on planet Earth. BNY Mellon, 50 trillion. Now look at this. I want you to look at this date. On October 11th, 2022, they wanted to start custodying Bitcoin. BNY Mellon today announced its digital asset custody platform. Whenever you see digital assets, you know the biggest, most powerful digital asset in the world is Bitcoin. So that's really what they mean. But this was blocked by the Biden administration. They blocked it with SAB 121. So BNY Mellon had to take a step back. Now, check this out. Trump just undid it. He undid SAB 121 that blocked banks from custodying Bitcoin. He says, forget that. That's no longer the case. Here is SAB, Staff Accounting Bulletin 122. Now banks can custody Bitcoin. Do you understand how huge this is? This is probably the biggest development in years regarding Bitcoin. Every bank in the world will start to buy and custody, hold Bitcoin. I want you to think about how huge that is. We're talking about demand that we can't even put a number on, and a supply that's shrinking. What does that mathematically mean for the price? If the supply is shrinking and the demand is exponentially exploding to the point where we can't even freaking fathom, every bank's gonna have to buy Bitcoin and hold it. Every nation state's gonna have to buy Bitcoin and hold it. Every state in America is gonna buy Bitcoin and hold it. And the supply is shrinking. Holy moly. You think 100,000 is high? You ain't seen nothing yet. The demand hasn't even started. Bitcoin got to 104,000 with no demand, none. But Oliver, there had to be demand. What demand? Less than 1%? That's what you call demand? You can't call real demand less than 1%. Less than 1% of the world has Bitcoin, and we're already at 104,000. Demand hasn't even started. It's about to, though. Nation states are about to step in. States are about to step in. Institutions are about to step in. Pension funds are about to step in. Banks are about to step in. And if you think $100,000 is high, OMG, what is coming is going to be so freaking stupefying. And you know what? I promise you this. I'm going to come back and I'm going to say, I told you so. I'll do it. I'm going to rub it in your face. I told you. I am not going to let you rest. I will do it because I'm petty like that. I'm petty. I'll do it. I'll do it. We're barely into 2025, and look at what the ETFs have accumulated so far of Bitcoin. This is net accumulation. $4.2 billion worth of Bitcoin. We're just barely into 2025, and they've gobbled up $4.2 billion. There it is, year-to-date flows into Bitcoin. 4.179, I'm rounding. $4.2 billion. And we just started 2025. How much is that number gonna be in December of 2025? Demand cometh, my friends. Demand cometh. Supply shrinketh, price riseth. Demand cometh, supply shrinketh, price riseth. Okay. I know I'm crazy. I know it. Guys, if I catch any one of my traders selling Bitcoin, I'm firing them. Where this is going, you're selling this, it would be like selling Bitcoin at 5 cents in 2010. 5 cents. There's no selling, Einsteins. Look at how dumb selling is. Look at this chart is showing you retailers sold Bitcoin big in April of 2024. And the price was, I don't know, 70, 60,000, 70,000, something like that, right? So they sold there. Then they started buying it back. Then they sold big again. Now they're buying it back. But guys, what are they gaining? They're selling it there and buying it back here. They sold it here and they're buying it back here. You're not gaining anything. This is dumb. Bitcoin is the 7th most valuable asset on earth. Do you realize this? You don't believe me? Well, take a look. Here's every single asset in the world, right? Every single asset in the world. Look at where Bitcoin is. It's number 7, people. It's coming. Look how close it is to taking out Google. Look how close it is to taking out Amazon. It might do this next week. It might be number 5 next week, next month. It's coming for your ass. Do you understand? It's coming for everything. Do you know what it's going to take Bitcoin? Bitcoin is at 104,000. To jump to number 2, do you know what price it has to be? 155,000. Do you know how easy it is for Bitcoin to do? Bitcoin's going to destroy this year, people. 150,000? 155,000? Bitcoin's going to blow that number out of the water this year. This year, you're going to see Bitcoin the 2nd most valuable asset on earth. Guys, you're going to miss this? What do you sell the most valuable thing in the world for? The 15th most valuable thing? Do you sell number 1 for number 4? Do you sell it for the melting ice cube dollars? What do you sell the scarcest, the most valuable for? No, I am never going to let you sell this. You know what we're going to do? We're going to go to BNY Mellon. We're going to go to JP Morgan. We're going to go to Bank of America. We're going to go and borrow against it. We're never going to sell it. We're going to do it like the wealthy real estate moguls. They don't sell, they borrow. You saw SAB 121 was completely trashed for SAB 122. All banks can custody. You know what's going to happen? The banks are going to say, oh my God, you have Bitcoin, come this way, please. You can have anything on planet Earth. What would you like? You're going to be the new elite. They're going to offer you anything you want on planet. Oh, you want that mansion? Oh, you want that yacht? Oh, you want that trip around the world? You want that business? You have Bitcoin? Here it is. You're never going to have to sell Bitcoin, ever. Because it's going to rise forever. Why do you don't sell what is going up forever? You borrow against what's going up forever. I know families that have owned the same New York Manhattan real estate for generation after generation after generation. And you know what? None of them ever worked. None of them work. How do you think they live off of that real estate? They borrow. Because the real estate's value rises forever. Manhattan real estate will never stop rising, but it won't rise anywhere near what the scarcest property on earth is, Bitcoin. You don't want Manhattan real estate today. You want Bitcoin today. Look at your asset disappearing. This is the price. The white is the price. This is where we are now. Well, we're higher now. We're over this. We're 100. Oh, this is outdated. But look at the Bitcoin leaving exchanges. People are taking Bitcoin off Coinbase, all your exchanges, and storing it safely. It's disappearing, people. Look at it disappearing. Just look at that. As the price is rising, the Bitcoin's disappearing. It's becoming scarcer. It's being pulled out of circulation. People are getting smarter. They're not going to sell something that goes up forever. Sellers are stupid. Smart money is coming to this now, and they know this. This is what you see all of a sudden, the acceleration of it disappearing. If you think you're late, you're a silly willy. This is the entire issuance schedule of Bitcoin all the way, every 4 years, all the way to the year 2140. So every row is 4 years. This is where you are. This is where we are. That's not freaking late. This is late. We're early. Don't let the US dollar price fool you that I'm going to tell you how much you and your family need for generational wealth. I'm talking about an amount that will reward you for generation after generation after generation after generation after generation, forever. This is how much you need generational wealth. This is based on my estimated 2032 year, the year 2032 value model. So think 2032, guys. We're in 2025. We're talking 7 years, right? So this is 2032. 7 years, 2032. Currently, $900 trillion of value in these buckets, right? These are like parking garages where you park value. So there's $330 trillion parked in real estate, $300 trillion parked in stupid bonds, $120 trillion in melting ice cube fiat currencies, $115 trillion parked in stocks, 18 trillion parked in ugly ass art, all right? This number is now higher, but 18 trillion parked in a dead rock, all right? 6 trillion parked in cars and watches and bullshit like that. All of that comes out to 900 trillion. Look, this is now 2 trillion. There's 2 trillion. This is the baby that's coming for it all. Do you understand? It is coming for gold. It is coming for art. It's coming for collectibles. I told you it's trouncing equities. So guys, look, what's going to happen over time is that people are going to say, why am I holding a rock? I should be holding Bitcoin. It's destroying my rock. Why should I buy another piece of ugly ass art? I'm going to put some of that in Bitcoin. I'm not going to buy that watch. I'm going to put that in Bitcoin. Bitcoin is destroying all of Wall Street. I'm going to put what I used to put in stocks in Bitcoin. Real estate, just my home, but I'm no longer going to invest in, I'm not going to have 27 apartment buildings. Maybe I'll just have 10 apartment buildings and get rid of the 17 and put it in Bitcoin. Bonds are having the worst period of their entire 600-year history. I'm not doing bonds anymore. I'm putting that in Bitcoin. I realize now my dollars are melting. I'm switching a lot of my dollars for Bitcoin. It's coming for it all. Do you understand? So my view is that by 2032, 20% of those buckets you saw will be in Bitcoin. So 20% of those amounts, 3 trillion from golds, 18 trillion will be in Bitcoin. $3.6 trillion that was in art will be flipped for Bitcoin. 20% of the collectibles, that's 1.2 trillion, goes to Bitcoin. Of the $115 trillion in stocks, 23 trillion goes to Bitcoin. 66 trillion of real estate goes to Bitcoin. 60 trillion of bonds goes into Bitcoin. $24 trillion of melting ice cube, stupid government pieces of paper go into Bitcoin. Bitcoin's going to be the beneficiary of 20%. And I think that's conservative. It's potentially more, but I'm being conservative. 20% of all that. Of my assets, I did like 85% of all my assets went into Bitcoin. And I'm saying that 20% by 2032. I did this in less than 4 years. I sold off 85% of my went into Bitcoin. So I'm an 85%er. I'm just saying by 2032, 20% of all these buckets are going to be in Bitcoin. And you know what that's going to do to the price? Well, let's take a look. I'll show you. That's a total, guys, of $180 trillion going into Bitcoin. Now, BTC, 20% capture, 180 trillion divided by 21. That gives you an $8.6 million Bitcoin price. Now, that's very conservative. Remember what I told you, that Bitcoin adds a zero. So the add the zero model puts you well past 10 million. This model, 20%, suggests 8.6. I think this is extraordinarily conservative. So let's go with the really conservative number here, $8.6 million of Bitcoin by 2032. Now let's continue. This is the number I want you to focus on. Write this down, 8.6 million by 2032. Write that down. Now, that means if you own one Bitcoin, you're pretty much set for life, right? For most people. Now, 8.6 million. I'm here to tell you that you don't really need one full Bitcoin. If you can get that, great. But if you can just get 0.28 Bitcoin, that's a little bit more than a quarter of a Bitcoin. 1/4 of a Bitcoin. This will be $2.14 million. But this number will also exponentially grow every 4 years forever. So the 2.4 million becomes 10 million, and then becomes 15 million, and then becomes 20 million, and it's going to grow forever. What I'm saying is that if you can get to 0.28 Bitcoin, if this conservative number happens by 2032, you'll have 2.4 that 2.4 will grow and grow and grow. You'll be able to borrow against it. You'll be able to live from that forever. You won't be able to spend it if you don't go crazy, because it will keep tripling and quadrupling and tripling and quadrupling and tripling and quadrupling. Homes will go from 660 Bitcoin for one home to 45 Bitcoin for one home to 660 Bitcoin for one house. Went to 45 Bitcoin for one house. Went to 4 Bitcoin for one house. Is going to go to 1 Bitcoin for one house. It's going to go to 0.25 Bitcoin for one house. It's going to go to 0.001 Bitcoin for one house, and it's going to keep going. 0.0000001 for one house, and 0.00000000001 for one house. It will never stop. You're going to get wealthier and wealthier and wealthier every 4 years of your life. This is crazy. I know it sounds crazy because we've never had something like this in human existence. 0.28. Check this out, people. There are 58 millionaires in the world today as of 2025. I looked it up. 58 million millionaires. And US is trouncing the world. There's 22 million of the 58 are from the United States. Second place is China. It's a far second place, 6 million. UK, 3 million of the 58 millionaires. 2.9 million millionaires are from France, and 2.8 million millionaires are from Japan. So the United States is trouncing the world in terms of producing millionaires, and there's 58 million millionaires in the entire world. Now, check this out, guys. But there's only 21 million Bitcoin. Do you see where I'm getting at here, guys? There's not enough Bitcoin for every millionaire to have one. So if you have 0.28, you're freaking elite. If you have one, that's just insane. That's insane. This is crazy. So there's only 21 million. There's 58 million millionaires, and that number's growing. And there's only 21 million that will ever be available. Now, look at this. This means, guys, that if you take 21 million and divide it by the number of millionaires, 21 million Bitcoin, and you divide it by the number of millionaires, you get, there's only 0.36 Bitcoin available for every millionaire. But it's not 21 million because 5 million Bitcoin are lost. 5 million Bitcoin are lost, people. So now we're down to 16 million Bitcoin divided by 58 millionaires, which comes to 0.28 Bitcoin. You are a millionaire many times over with 0.28 Bitcoin. Mark my words. See how I came up with that number? 21 million minus the 5 million loss brings us to 16 million, divided by 58 million millionaires, 0.28 Bitcoin. Generational wealth that will change the trajectory of your bloodline. Whoo! It's exciting. Holy moly. Powerful. It's crazy. You're going to be the elite with 0.28. I promise you. And it's as certain as night follows the day. It's mathematically baked into the protocol, people. 0.2 Bitcoin today is $29,000. Guys, it's less than a Kia. What the hell is a Kia? How much a Kia is today? What the heck is that? What is that? What's a Kia? Let's see what a Kia is. Look at this, guys. Look at this. Look at this. Look at this. Starting price, 26,000. Dude, come on. Come on, guys. Generational wealth. Freaking crazy. You can do this. You don't have to do it all at once. You can do this week by week. Now, let me tell you guys, let me show you why. Guys, somebody say, Oliver, man, you're off your freaking rocker with this 8.6 million, 10 million, 8.6 million. Dude, come on. Come on, Oliver. But Oliver, those numbers sound really scary. They're really big. Let me show you how conservative this is. I'm using the most conservative numbers, and I'm going to prove it to you right now. Check this out. Smoke on this. This is why my model is super conservative, people. These numbers are too small. Fidelity. Guys, this is the second largest wealth manager in the world. Second behind BlackRock. This is not me. They're saying it's $100 million per Bitcoin by 2035. Mine's little baby, 8.6 to 10 million. It's a little baby, Google Gaga. Compared to 100 million per Bitcoin, Fidelity. That's not, I'm so conservative. It's crazy, right? I'm the conservative one. I'm not the crazy one. Look, Van Eck predicts Bitcoin to skyrocket to 52 million per Bitcoin by 2050. I'm saying 8.6 to 5 to 10. Look, Michael Saylor, he's got freaking 49 million per Bitcoin. 49 million by 2045. That's his bull case. This is insane. I'm the conservative one. So guys, you can make your choice. You can continue to work for this and experience that. Go ahead. Or you can flip this for that. Keep flipping it. Every time you earn some of that bullshit on the left, you take a portion of it and you put it into the winner. Now, this will never stop going down. Do you understand? This will never stop going down. Because of that, this will never stop going up. So make the freaking switch, guys. Make the freaking switch. And don't stop. I get tired of answering. I understand. Yeah, but Oliver, for how long? Forever. As long as your slave ass has to work for that declining BS, you switch it. You switch it. You switch it. It's sort of like, but Oliver, when do I have when is enough freedom enough? When is free? When do I have when do I stop going for freedom? When do I stop going for generational wealth? When do I stop making my life better? When do I stop getting wealthier and wealthier? When do I stop, Oliver? You never stop. What the heck are you talking about? When do I stop putting it in Bitcoin and hold on to the melting ice cube and keep the melting ice cubes? Never. As long as someone is willing to give you the best performing asset, the scarcest asset on earth for government pieces of paper, you take that trade every single day of your life and twice on Sunday. That is a stupid trade. Do you understand? You're going to trade the thing that's guaranteed to go down for the thing that's guaranteed to go up forever? You're willing to give me your wealth, your future wealth for this piece of paper? Take that trade, people. Take it. Every time, take it. Once it's finished, I want you to like the session. Just do that for me. All right? Also, make sure you subscribe to the channel. All right? I put a lot of work into making sure that you get something of value every single day, 7 days a week, guys. It's a lot of work. So like this session once I close it, not now, once I close it, and make a comment. Tell me what you felt about our session today. I also want to thank you. I know you could have been out, I don't know, walking in the mall, walking your dog around the block, spending time with your children, but you decided to spend the most valuable asset you have right now, which is your time with me. It's something that I do not take for granted. So thank you so much. Thank you for being here. I hope I've delivered something of value today, something that you potentially can use for the rest of your life. And I hope I've convinced some of you to join the family. All right. For those of you who've already decided to do that, welcome to the family. We got a lot of work to do. All right, guys. Ciao for now. Boom. Boom. Boom.